Sure, abuti honestly.
Have said so much about what Gauteng is and the strength of Gauteng. The fact that Gauteng is, and I'm just going to hit you with a couple more facts, is responsible for 33% of South Africa's GDP and 10% of Africa's GDP really says a lot, right? But it's only when you think about Gauteng as the 7th largest economy in Africa, not provincially, not at a subnational level, in terms of nations, we're the 7th largest in Africa. You start to understand the impact that we can have, right? And I suppose the question that I always ask, particularly around climate change and about resilience and about the environment, is why does anyone care? Not because we're sitting in the room and we've researched this topic and we understand what's going on, but how do we get people to buy into what we're trying to do, right? Because as a layman, if I'm living in a tish area and there are all sorts of strange things that are happening, like fires and floods, I'm going, that's weird. Also, I've just lost my house, right? I'm not really too concerned about why this is happening. And I'm even less concerned about, what my impact is to, contribute to this happening. And so from that perspective, I start asking myself questions around how do we as governments change that? What do we need to do to get our hands dirty? Because being in this room is fantastic, but we also need to go out there and we need to start saying, hey man, there are really important things that you as society are doing that can change the game completely. But we also can't go there empty-handed. We can't go and say, look, we're going to write these policies and rules and regulations that are going to force you to do these things, because people simply aren't going to do them. Let's just look at illegal dumping, for instance. We know that illegal dumping is really destroying the environment. It's really contributing to all sorts of air quality issues, to water quality issues, yet people do it anyway. Why? Because I'm supposed to take my bin out on a Tuesday, but I missed it. So on Wednesday, I'm just going to go around the corner here to the veld and I'm going to dump. And that means as government, we're trying to deliver services to clean these particular illegal dump sites up. But it means that I'm spending the same money on the same things year after year. Whereas I'd really like to take that money and spend it on air quality controls, on various enforcements, but more importantly, on building an industry. Because we need to start shifting our focus away from trying to force people from doing things to trying to incentivize people to do those things. And let me tell you, as a layman, and I'm really trying to focus on how we get people to buy in, as a layman who doesn't understand much about the environment. If I get offered a job, if I get told there's money in this particular industry, I'm going to start doing those things for that money. And I'm going to start enforcing more innovative ways to get more money, right? So it's our job to teach people, these are the innovative things that we can do. This is what the research says. We need to start pushing people in the right direction through incentives. And that's why I feel that industry is very important. I had so much written down here that I haven't really touched on, and I promised to cut my time. So,
no, you can take your time.
So, we're looking again, we know the issues of air quality. We know places like Mfuleni have got serious air quality issues, right? But we're allowing an unregulated industry to blossom. We've got people that are picking up the trash, coming to separate it. We all know that when we put our bins out, first come, first serve, people are digging through whatever rubbish we have, they're separating it, they're going off, and in our minds that disappears, right? We don't know that they're burning things on the other side of the road. That's contributing to air quality, it's contributing to the larger issue in total. And that leads to sort of the droughts in Sebeng, the floods in Johannesburg, in Tshwane. We know about these things. right? And I think that always leads me to the questions around how are we approaching governance? What are we actually doing to ensure that we're becoming more adaptable and more resilient? Because again, climate change is one element, but the adaptability and the resilience are the most important areas for us now to start focusing on. And how do we show people that that's where we need to land, right? So I was at the U20 the other day at a seminar, and I got asked to be a panelist, and we were talking about policy. And the question that I posed is, are we taking the correct approach to policy? Because government gets into a room and we say, okay, we need a policy around climate change, or we need a policy around illegal dumping. How are we going to enforce these things? How are we going to ensure that the municipalities comply? And then we go out at the last minute and we say, well, we really need to get this policy done now, so let's engage with stakeholders. And we gather all of the stakeholders in a room like this, and we ask them questions. What do you think? And they go, well, we don't agree. We go, too bad. This thing's already drafted. So my question was, why don't we allow the academics and the business people and the civil society to develop the policy on their wants and their needs? And then we give them the opportunity to present these policies to us and say, look, I think we need a policy as pertains to how we can clean the Yukscape. We need a policy around this particular thing. And then we take all of that information and we get into a room and we put it together and we start to mold it and blend it. We've done it. And then we come back and we say, okay, this is the final thing. But this all happens within a 90-day period. What sort of impact would that have on the greater scheme of things if we can just get that right? So, I mean, we're looking at various things, nature-led solutions, wetland restoration, planting indigenous trees, I mean, getting our natural biomes up and running. We know about all of these things, right? I mean, I can talk about the innovation. Again, I must also just extend a big thank you to Basani and her team, because they've just been fantastic. I went to Ethiopia, I met a bunch of people that I've never met before in my life. Basani wasn't there, and the first thing they said to me is, take care of her. She's fantastic. So Basani, genuinely, thank you so much. In the short 10 weeks that I've been the MEC, she's really led me and shown me and taught me this is where we need to be, this is where we need to be looking. So now, again, I think the HOD asked a couple of important questions. We know the strengths of Gauteng. I really want to be that benchmark. I really want to take the academia, I really want to take the businesses, I really want to take the civil society and put them together and say, right, how do we become not South Africa's best province, not Africa's superpower, but globally the ones that people turn to and go, we need to go to Gauteng. How are they doing what they're doing? Right? And that means that as an official of the government, I mustn't stand here and say to you, all right, I'm going to write these rules and regulations and good luck complying with them. I have to say, I really need your help. I really need to unburden myself and this department from all of the things that are resting on our shoulders. Because sometimes that means that, people don't want to work with the government because there are no results. Or they think that we're going to expect some sort of brown envelope being slipped under the door. Or we're simply blocking you from doing what you're trying to do, which needs to end now. And I need to become a partner in all of this. As the department, we're extending our hands and we're saying, please lead us as well in all of the endeavors that you guys are taking on here. Right? So some of the questions, just very quickly, how do we transform governance from a distant concept into a lived experience? How do we place communities at the center, not periphery of decision making? And I think I touched on this with the industries. The second that you start to empower people, it always frustrated me, and it didn't sit well with me when I was in grade 7. They told me about this climate change, and they told me about recycling, reduce, reuse, recycle. I think there's a fourth one now. And I was like, this is so cool. Until I stopped caring about it, and I was like, I'm done with this now, because now I've got to stand here and separate things. I've got other things that I need to do. And it's our fault, because we're teaching children to become waste pickers. We're not teaching them about the industry. We're not teaching them about their communities and how they can actually take their communities further. And when they do this, we actually ignore them. We put them on the sidelines. We're like, good luck. Hey, I see you doing incredible things with tires there. Nice job. But we're not actually empowering them to become something a little bit more. How do we allow nature to lead us into resilience rather than treating it as collateral damage and development? I think one of the first questions I asked was, are we still struggling with the blue gums and the black wattles around the mine areas? Yes, we are. Okay, why is this happening? Some of these trees are sucking up 500 liters, some of them are sucking up 900 liters of water per day. And they're going, no, firstly, they keep the mine shafts dry. Okay, I get it. Secondly, they're really kind of controlling acid mine drainage. Alright, so you're telling me that there isn't a single plant, there isn't a single plan that we can make to get rid of all of that, to ensure that one of our scarcest resources are protected while dealing with our acid mine drainage. So we really need to start focusing on how we get those natural biomes, particularly around our mines, back to a natural biome, back to something that we as a community and as citizens can start to enjoy again, but also as one of those, what do they call them, urban heat zones. I see here in my notes that I've so fruitfully written down with the guidance of Basani that these islands can actually decrease certain heating by 2 degrees Celsius. These are important things to be done. And we're looking at the mines and they're looking at us and we're all like, who's gonna, it's like going on a first date. You're reaching out for the hand, but you don't know who's gonna go first. Then finally, how do we embed innovation, not as an afterthought, but as a daily practice of governance? How do we start focusing on the things that we've done in theory and start making that come to life? So let us leave here with more recommendations. Let us leave here with more commitments, and commitments to partner with communities, to trust nature as an ally, and to embrace innovation and to translate evidence into practice. If we do this, we will ensure that governance is not only about compliance, but about just equity and resilience. And I really want to touch on that last point very quickly. Equity. We've got so many people living in Tish areas that are bearing the brunt of the decisions that are being made by either illegal burning of trash or factories that are getting away with murder, and businesses are also looking at us going, well, we can't really comply because that eats into our profit margins. I disagree, but not for the reasons that you think I disagree. I disagree because I think that there are ways for us to comply where your profit will actually grow. If you look at our industrial symbiosis program, there are people that are looking for the things that you're struggling to get rid of. And they're going to make money out of it, and you're going to get more money. That really impacts the triple bottom line in fantastic ways. We will ensure that the children of Gauteng are not only part of a thriving economy, but a sustainable environment in which they can flourish. I really want to emphasize this in the next 4 years through collaboration such as this. And I think this is when I realized what today was about. I said we have to go there, right? We have to go there and we have to show our commitments as government, because these are stakeholders that are still willing to really engage with us and to understand what we need and to, stick out an olive branch and say, we're going to help you achieve what you want to achieve. And again, this is that sort of symbiosis that we're looking for. And I really wanted to be here to thank you for the last 5 years, but also to say I am fully committed to the next 5 years. And it mustn't just be the last time that you see my face here. This environmental department is so extensive. I didn't realize when I came in here how much it touches on. From water to sewage to dumping to clean air to climate to... I issue licenses for snakes. This is a wonderful thing. I'm the snake boss. I was like, wow, look at this. We do roadblocks. So it is quite difficult to get around to everything. But the thing that I'm the most grateful for is the fact that Premier Panyaza Lesotho split environment from agriculture and rural development. Because when you as a leader are given a choice between giving someone food and giving them clean air, for right now, where we're at, food is number one. Which now means that with a designated MEC, we can focus 100% of our efforts on environment. So I'm really looking forward to the outcomes of the symposium. I'm really looking forward to working with every single one of you. My office is open. Please do not think that I leave here and that you never ever see me again. Reach out. My MLO, Bridget Bonambi, and my head of office, Marie-Lise Francis, are here. There are so many things that I know that stakeholders can bring to my attention, even if it's not me physically doing something, but just engaging on a slightly deeper note that can really impact things. So I'm looking forward to the outcomes of these 2 days. Thank you very much for having us, and thank you to the symposium. Thank you.
Sure, I would do ownership.